sweet. Let's do it without her. No.
Orange. This orange color. Yeah, I don't want a 6-lane Brooklyn and down there.
You gotta turn the on so we can start, I guess. Ready? All right. I'll call the meeting to order at 7 o'clock. If you'll join me, bow your heads for a quick invocation. Dear God, we pray that you will bless and guide us through this meeting. Help us have productive discussions that will broaden our perspectives. Help us to resolve any disputes gracefully and find principles that we can agree on. Help us generate good plans that are practical, sustainable, and easily implemented. Guide us towards the best way to take action to accomplish our goals. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
If you'd rise and join me with the Pledge of Allegiance and the Texas Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Under the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible. Thank you very much. The next item on the agenda is citizen comments. Do we have anyone registered to provide comments tonight? Okay. Did anybody want to provide comments in the citizens' comments?
Any citizens?
Okay.
Okay.
Then we will move on to item 4.1, discussion and action regarding a recommendation to the City Council regarding adoption of the comprehensive plan. Hopefully you all had a chance to take a look at this after it was set out this week. Do I understand correctly that we have a presentation for tonight? Okay. Okay. You just have to talk really fast.
Our system works. Well, good evening. I'm glad to be back before you again. I just have a very short, you have to press escape. Uh-huh. Yeah. Okay. Uh-huh. I did. Sorry for the confusion. Just wanted to highlight a couple of changes for you this evening. I'm not going to talk through each of them unless you guys have questions, but there is a method and a reason why each of the items was changed from the August 30th draft. Those red line changes are up on the website for all to see. And then there's a list, since you can't redline a map exactly, there's a list of the proposed changes from the Master Thoroughfare Plan and the Future Land Use Plan. So changes made from the August 30th draft, you can see there's just a few changes that we had already discussed. The third change was given to me after the meeting, so it's just a very small little piece. And then we did receive another comment today, and I wanted to walk through that with you. So this is the proposed future land use map on the left, and it's what was in the posted draft. And the comment we received, and the gentlemen are here today, it's kind of not a collaborative or an open format, but you know what I mean. So the orange parcels there are what they're proposing to change to State Highway 205 corridor. The two southern rectangular pieces are currently being used for commercial businesses at this time. And then the other three kind of pieces there are proposed to be businesses. So they have that under current ownership. And part of the other parcel is closing shortly. So they do propose to keep the house, and that's why that one parcel is split in the proposal on the right, so that could continue being a residential use. And the lot size would be a minimum of 2.5 acres, which would be compliant with the existing zoning if that subdivision were to occur to split those two lots. Split that one lot into two. And then the green piece is actually the vineyard. the winery. So we thought that agricultural use would be more appropriate because it does have a farm designation already at the appraisal district, and that would allow them to do farm-to-table dinners and anything that is primarily relating to the farm or vineyard. So that's our proposal for you this evening. We do think it makes sense at this key corner, especially at FM 550 and 205, but happy to take any thoughts that you might have.
So I have a question about the winery, and we alluded to it earlier. And I don't know what's in with the appraisal district, but we did change the future land use and zoning on the front parcel
Okay.
to general business, which to me makes sense with the 205.
State Highway
The
205.
State Highway
corridor.
205 corridor, I apologize.
Yeah.
But the back of it, I definitely agree is ag, and that's what they're
Okay.
using it for, but.
But we could change maybe that front square parcel to State Highway 205 corridor.
I don't know if anybody on the board has any.
Yeah, my opinion is it's the area that is used for the commercial wine that should be so properly designated.
And that kind of designates them separately too, as to what's the winery business portion and what's the back, because there's a residence and then acreage, where I know they're raising bees and some other stuff.
I mean, if it was all ag though, under our designations, they could still have the residence there. That's one dwelling unit per.
Well, as opposed
Yeah.
to,
I mean,
well, no, I think
you can still
we're,
have a dwelling in ag.
no, but I think we're proposing leaving the back as ag. It's two separate parcels. So the front one, we would change to that State Highway 205 business corridor and leave the back 20 acres as ag, because that's what you're showing, right?
Yeah, so
Is ag.
on the current draft that's posted online, it's existing neighborhood, which doesn't
Yeah.
fit.
No.
So the front in your proposal would be change that front square to be State Highway 205 corridor, and then change the back rectangle to ag.
Yeah.
Is there not, though, a facility on that back part
No.
that is a commercial type enterprise, a pavilion, or?
That's within that front square.
It's in the
Yeah.
front plat?
It is within the front. part.
It is
Really?
in the back.
No, it's in the back.
It's
But
it's in the rectangular portion, but
It's
it
got to be in
falls.
that second part because
It
the
is-
winery
But
is
it's-
in that front part.
Even if it's ag though, because of that ag designation, we still can have ag-related things, farm to
Yes.
table. The
Right.
pavilion would be a totally fine use for
Right.
that, even if it was designated.
And if
Really?
you have
Yeah.
your printed version of the clean plan, you can look at page 40,
You can
and
have
it
a
has
commercial
the just
and an ag.
She's showing us. Look at page 40.
page 40 of the clean posted version has the definition of agriculture.
No, these
And
page numbers are all wrong. It's page
if you
41.
printed the red line, it'll be wrong.
Well, page
But-
40.
This is the clean version, and it's page 41.
But we have two sets of page numbers. We have the ones of the plan and then the ones of the attachment.
well,
So
yeah,
it's
no,
page
I'm
40
reading-
of the blue.
Oh,
one.
that's
That might
your
be why I can't
packet.
find any of yours.
Okay.
You're
Well, I'm
absolutely
using
right.
the
Sorry.
PDF, sorry.
No, you're absolutely right.
So anyway, it says, accessory commercial uses associated with farming, agriculture, or agritourism, such as farm-to-table restaurants, farm-related event space or shops, produce stands, horse riding, or bed and breakfasts, and then it continues on. So a vineyard would definitely fall into agritourism.
The
So,
pavilion too. Yeah.
yep, anything that was accessory to that farm-type, vineyard-type use.
I don't see anything in that that's.
No, that's fine. I mean,
I don't- I mean,
we're designating
where
everything
do you
else.
see in this?
This is the accessory
I
commercial
know, but
uses.
it's not, it's not
It's-
farm
it's-
related.
It's such as, well, it's vineyard related.
So I did look at the appraisal district.
I don't agree with that.
Okay.
I don't agree with that at all. That's not ag related. Not from some of the rentals that have gone on out there. That's not ag related. Well, that's what we're saying. You having that property in an agricultural, how can you zone that, or how can that be agricultural when it's a for-profit enterprise not related to agriculture?
So what we see is sometimes there's an active crop that's
No,
growing.
it's not
And
farm related.
in this instance, there's an active crop of grapes
An Airbnb
growing.
is not farm related, I'm sorry.
Okay. So we can, where do we see Airbnb?
So does it matter if it's,
Okay.
so does it matter if it's 205 corridor versus ag.
I don't think we want to make the whole 29 acres 205 corridor.
I agree.
I am.
I agree with that.
Well, but how do you make the exception for something non-ag and an ag?
Well, it probably needs to, I mean,
Well,
Airbnbs
how is
can
it
be in the
zoned?
neighborhood.
How's it currently zoned?
Residential. Or no, is it zoned?
Residential 2.5.
I got the old zoning map.
I mean, this is,
Well, they can use it for an Airbnb, but I'm just saying that according to the definition, that's not farm related.
Yeah, I think it gets a little gray because they're raising bees on the back of the property.
Well, it still says farm-related event space or shops, produce stands, horse riding, or bed and breakfast.
I don't see anything in there that defines what goes on out there as farm related.
Yeah, so we do need to change. Huh? It can, yes.
Yeah, the current zoning is 2.5 residential, and the current land use is low-density residential. So that's what it's under today. Except for that front portion, which
right.
the front property we made general business.
So it should remain existing neighborhood with the front portion being redesignated 205 corridor.
Yeah. And what we designated at doesn't, because I think what they have is an ag exemption on the back property,
Yeah.
and that's totally separate.
Yeah.
It doesn't have anything to do with
Not to
what
be
we say.
confused.
No, yeah, that's what I mean. It doesn't have anything to do with what we say.
Exactly.
So,
Okay.
So that would. I don't think I can be a part of that conversation.
Yeah,
You have to recuse yourself.
I'd have to recuse myself from that conversation because it's so would you.
Yeah, I would have to recuse myself.
Okay, so general consensus, front State Highway 205 corridor, and back would be existing neighborhood.
Is that okay?
Do we have to have motions and things? or are you
No,
just
we'll
adding
do
to
that
the
at the
list?
end, but as long as we're done talking about this one,
Okay.
then we can.
When we make the motion, we're going to suggest the edits we want to see to what we're approving.
Okay.
So that'll be part of it.
No, just one question on the back part, the ag part in the back. Would that be able to be subdivided in existing neighborhood?
consistent
So,
with the.
consistent-
With the neighborhood.
So that would be 2.5.
Right.
It
Right.
doesn't,
Right, so
Yeah.
the answer is yes,
But
So,
yes.
but you'd have to put the infrastructure in.
right, all the water lines and whatever.
And
Well, that
roads.
would be-
And you'd have to get neighborhood approval
And you'd have
of
to.
the
If-
subdivision.
if you were,
That's why I wouldn't.
if it was agricultural though, you would have a maximum of one dwelling unit per 5 acres, I believe is what the current draft says. So ag would be lower density than the current designation. If that has any,
Right, which I see if there is something back there that's residential, I think it still fits under here. And you disagree that whatever that back Airbnb is, it could still be that one dwelling unit per however, per 5 acres back there on that back ag and still be ag.
and your future land use doesn't have to necessarily match your existing land use either. So if you want it to be ag, that's something to consider as well, because this is the future land use plan.
Did the property owners give us any comments?
No, but it's the nearby.
Yeah.
So,
And when we looked at it, we thought it was appropriate to change at least the front part.
no, the front part I agree with. That part I get.
So it's the front part of the green one plus those other ones that
Yeah.
are currently
Yeah.
yellow are going to go
Right.
corridor.
Yeah, I have no problem with that.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, as long as the front one goes quarter, I'm fine with that, and we can always address the other back issues.
So
We
what's
have
our
differing-
recommendation is to leave it residential and,
Or-
Leave it as is, but the front.
but the front will make
Yeah.
205.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's disagreeing with
Right.
that.
Right.
And I'm going to wrap all this up in one motion
one
at
motion.
the
No, I know you are.
appropriate time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
All
we
right,
can-
I'm fine with that.
Okay. All right, so
Good
then
aggressive.
we've got the draft master thoroughfare plan. There were a number of updates that we made to this. I think some of the most significant were in the Dowell Road area. If you recall from the public hearing, there was a comment, and then we received a follow-up comment from a relative in that area. So we just kind of re-looked at that entire Dowell Road area and removed some extra alignments and we downgraded Dowell from a minor arterial to a major collector, which is a lower intensity, and made some other changes. So again, I won't go through those too much. We also talked about that Connie Lane change at the public hearing, so that should be familiar, but happy to circle back to any of these items if you have specific change clarifications that you need.
So all of these changes were based on public comment.
Generally speaking, yes. But sometimes, like for example, the Dowell Road area, the comments we received were, this is a very rural area. We want it to stay rural. We're concerned about all of this activity over here. So we looked at that entire vicinity and changed more than just Dowell. There were a couple of other segments that we took off as well. So generally speaking, yes.
And remember, we're going to look at this every few years, so.
No, I know we are.
an update, so.
My question, and I think maybe you already addressed it with her, but why is 1139 a principal arterial?
So
We're going to address that
Okay,
separate from this
okay,
presentation.
that's fair, okay.
but it can be downgraded for sure.
Okay.
Yes. So these are our recommended changes based on the comments that we have received since the public hearing. On page 38, the future land use change that we just discussed. So the front would be State Highway 205 corridor. The back would be existing neighborhood. Page 6, there's a typo. Page 53, Ms. London, to your comment earlier, this is a standard note that we can put on the master thoroughfare plan, and I would recommend it.
Yes.
So I think it will help kind of just add to that. But it's not just upon development that new segments can come in. Mm-hmm. The city can construct new segments with a capital improvements program, especially if it's a small one that's a key connection or something. But there are, constrained revenues here. So most of them would come in with new development, okay, or would be a tech dot upgrade, county upgrade, that type of thing. Okay. And then page 63, again, non-substantive typo. And then page 57, wanted to talk about the CCN map to your comment earlier. This is a screenshot from the Public Utility Commission website. So this is where we pulled the data for page 57 in the clean draft. The comment was specifically, does this mean that some of the areas near Connie are without water service? Well, what that map is showing is the certificate of convenience and necessity. So this is information that's registered with the PUC, and that's what we're reflecting. I did notice a couple of discrepancies in the city limit line because we are simultaneously updating your GIS. So this might be a holdover from the little updates that we were doing. So we'll make sure that the city limit lines are accurate, but this is data from the PUC. Okay. Yeah. So you can see like Sonoma Verde isn't covered under a water CCN.
Sure.
And that type of thing. So I don't know if that helps.
No,
answer.
that does help.
Okay. And then our remaining timeline. So recommendation and action tonight. I know Mr. Kippett has a list of changes that he wants to walk through, and maybe you guys have some questions and changes as well.
All right. Shall we go through Mark's?
Well,
Go ahead.
first let's entertain a motion, and then we'll do discussion.
Oh, yes.
Under that.
Yeah, so what I'd propose is I'll make a motion to adopt changes, then presuming we get second, then we can open discussion and then determine exactly which changes we want to recommend for adoption to council.
Okay.
All right?
Are you making that motion?
I'm prepared to make that motion, unless you want to. So I make a motion that we adopt the new comprehensive plan as presented by Kimley Horn with the following changes. I provided a memo, will detail those changes and the changes that were just presented to us by Kimley Horn, and then any that will be brought on by the individual members of the
And
commission.
I will second that motion.
So then we'll have discussion before we take a vote.
So I'll just quickly walk through. I think what I want to do first, though, is I want to thank Kimley Horn. There's a lot of hard work that's gone into this plan
Absolutely.
over the last 6 months. Not easy. And I believe this plan better captures, it takes our existing plan to the next level in that it better captures who we are. It establishes clear and achievable goals. We set the current dynamics that are occurring within the city. The plan itself lays out a good action plan that will, again, move us forward. I'll just, as a reminder to the council, or to the commission, our home values are up 44% in 1 year. The average, July of 20, the average home sale in McLendon-Chisholm was $387,000. It's now $556,000. And that the last market survey done by Evie Halliday, local real estate firm, is 176, almost 177 square foot for a home in McLendon-Chisholm. So clearly, we are a growing city, we're prosperous, and so this plan will take us on. And I'll just remind the members of the commission that some of the key things that the citizens brought out were road congestion was arguably the number one issue that was highlighted, more than concerns over housing congestion. Road congestion always rose up. Land use, our land use is 75% agriculture right now. So that's a good news. That's there. It's a blank slate. Bad news. That's going to put a lot of pressure. I think we've balanced in this plan the green space, open space desires while respecting property rights. And we, unlike the prior plan, has actually reintroduced agriculture into the long-term views for the city. And provided, as we've just gone through a discussion on commercial, a diversified tax base. So over the last 2 weeks, including the public hearing, I've had about 20 folks contact me based on their views and comments. I think we've done a very good job of incorporating virtually every input we have received in the public hearing. I went through my notes this morning, and I think we've accounted for everything that folks have wanted. So I provided you with a memo. So I think these are a compilation of what was brought forward to me by a number of citizens. So the first one on, and I'll apologize, this is trying to correlate between the red line version and the actual version, so we'll see how well I did this. On page 15, that black box that's in the center, key facts, no debate on that, but there's a lot of data sources out there, and there was a citizen who was very concerned about that statement, about some of the specific data sources. So as you see, I suggest striking that and then replacing it with that following statement, which is, while data sources on home values and household incomes may vary, it's important to note that McLendon-Chisholm residents are well educated, actively engaged, and have personal incomes and home values well above the country, state, national averages. I mean,
Your draft says county, state, and national.
That
Is
just-
what you meant?
It keeps that second half.
Oh,
It
you
just sort of
just
kills
said
that.
you just said country when you were reading it, so I just
Oh.
wanted to
Oh, I'm
make sure
sorry,
you wanted
county.
it to be county.
Yeah.
Yeah.
County.
Yeah.
My apologies.
No, that's okay.
My dyslexic self sometimes.
No worries.
So anyway, that would be the first edit.
Okay.
The second would be on page 26, which, if you look at this feedback summary, about the third sentence, some community members, there was a desire to strike that entire statement, starting with some community members have expressed concerns, and then all the way through to have moved to within the city within the last 6 years. The rationale really here is, it's contrary to the data that's out there I just cited in terms of our property values, and it really doesn't add any value to the, that statement doesn't add any value inside the comprehensive plan if you're reading it outside the city, exterior to the city.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, they still have some concerns about overcrowding potential, but that's the only thing that I think survives that. But I don't think it's necessary to put in.
Yeah, I don't think it adds any value to it. It actually could have a negative connotation read a certain way. All right. So next would be on page 38.
And isn't that already what, one of the things we talked about with averages now? The Dow Road? Oh, no.
No, this is
That was
No,
the
this
alignment.
is,
This is
This
the
is land
future
use.
land. use,
Actually,
yeah.
it's, page 38. So you'll note, this was from the public hearing. You'll note that pink, small pink with the Y in it up here in the corner. There were, along with the comments you heard about Dow Road, right, that part of the city desire to keep it more rural in its characterization. So that would simply take that out and turn that into master plan community as a future land use, as opposed to neighborhood mixed use.
Yep,
That's okay.
Okay.
fine by me.
All right. The next, and I may want to get this right. Page 39. So
Wait, that's on the same one?
yeah, it's the same map. So
segments?
it's page 38. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
So you'll notice, and I talked to Eber about this, there's it's just correcting a map in terms of some segments that are already existing MTP roads. You'll see that if you look at it, you follow it, 1139, it comes down to 550. 550 is not highlighted, it should be, right? Because it's
Right.
a existing road, so that is section.
yeah,
Oh, right here.
Yeah, exactly. So those, it just cleans up a couple of those. There's one over on Dow Road as well. You'll see that dog leg there.
yeah.
Those
You've got it
are,
here, haven't you? Isn't this that same map and you've already done it?
yeah, I think there may have been some. This is a parcel map. This is not a parcel map, so
Yeah, this is a thoroughfare
just
plan.
need to
That's
make
the
sure
first
they all
land
match
use
up
map.
and line up.
No, I got you. That's it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that little corner.
I was
Okay.
thinking this was just a blow up of that, but it's not.
Yeah.
This is with the changes.
Yeah,
That will be the change. Yeah, those
Yeah,
changes
that
will
little
be.
Because
corner.
that's not here.
We
Exactly.
want to change that.
and then Stevens and Connie down
Yeah.
there as existing.
Well,
Master plan community here.
okay, yeah. Oh, this is-
Yeah,
Gotcha.
Okay. Does everybody
Sorry, I
understand?
didn't
You
mean
with
to
me?
interrupt you.
No,
Yeah,
no,
no,
no. You're
we're
with
with
me.
you.
Understand that's.
Yeah.
okay,
Okay.
that one's good with that.
So then on page 39, we have this note regarding lot sizes, densities and lot sizes. You go through it. They then align with the various designations, master plan, community, et cetera. So a citizen felt it was
What
necessary
page is that?
to reemphasize
40?
specifically what constitutes developable land. So that statement would be inserted at the end after where it says new homes or lots are generally considered in lot sizes, blah, blah, blah.
Is it the bottom
It
of
would
that
be
page?
an insert right here.
Will you read that out just so we can hear it?
Yeah, absolutely. So it would be McLendon-Chisholm is known for its large lot developments, and the community is united in maintaining this image. The city encourages future and existing residential developments designated to preserve open spaces while reinforcing the feel of a rural community. The residents require residential development that is essentially equates to, and this is not in this but needs to be added, a maximum of 1 dwelling unit per acre of developable land. As defined in the 4 future land use designations, developable land excludes lands that is in a regulatory floodplain and rights of way. Will strike out creeks, lakes, and streams because it's redundant. The floodplain is the key part. This policy serves important city interests in maintaining a healthy and safe lifestyle designed to promote smart growth that preserves McLendon-Chisholm's unique rural community character. This concept is broad and inclusive to ensure the preservation of physical aesthetics and a slower lifestyle that provides a quiet retreat from crowded urban environments. The rationale there was clarity and completeness. The motivation is the individual, and they made a very compelling argument that it wraps it up so that future developers and P&Z have, so we look at it, as you've been told, the totality of the plan, and you can judge it based on, does it meet our objective vision of what the city is? Okay.
So would that be like outdented back to like where this?
Yeah, it'd be outdented to
the-
line
to the
up with
intro.
the
Okay.
future land use designations. So
Okay. All
Just
right.
how it would line
Just
up.
a formatting note on that. If we were to put it at the bottom, it goes on the next page, and so it wouldn't have that important note. Are you okay with that?
Oh, yeah, whatever. Yeah,
right.
appropriately positioned.
Okay, just
Mark.
making sure.
Just one thing on that second sentence.
Yes, sir.
I might have misunderstood you when you said the city encourages future and existing residential development designated, and you have designed.
Design, did I say designate? I'm sorry, design.
Because there's a little difference
Design,
between
yes.
designated and designed. I just want to make
Mike.
that clear before we,
I-
okay.
Thank you for that correction.
No,
That
I
was-
just make sure I
I
heard
like
right.
that it kind of wraps.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
kind of wraps this up and is very clear what
Yeah.
we're going
Okay.
for here. So I appreciate that addition.
Okay, so then next would be on page 44, and thank you for pointing it out, Robert. Page 44. This is designed development characteristics, the master plan community. 44, is that right? Vector U in.
Oh, okay. The 1, 2.
There's a
4.
point, it's the fourth bullet under designed development characterization, or characteristics, I'm sorry. Instead of 75, it would be 90%. So commercial, there were some citizens who expressed concern and had good reason to, that in certain circumstances in a residential area, 25% dedicated to commercial could stress it. So they wanted to go to 90. I'm open for a discussion if you want to have, what exact percentage. I just don't want it to, we want our communities our neighborhoods to remain residential in
Neighborhoods,
character.
That percentage would be based on the full lot size where there is a commercial. I mean, we're not talking about roof space or roof area.
Right.
We're talking about,
It reads gross land area. So it would be the entire,
the land
Tract.
that's designated
Right.
within that master plan.
So you can still have
Yes.
10%
Yeah.
of that master plan development could be, so if you wanted to have a coffee shop, you could still, a developer could develop that in, or a amenity center, or something of that nature.
And we're not designating minimum lot size for that kind of development, correct?
That's-
We're only designating minimum density. I'm sorry, max,
For master plan community, on page 44 of the clean draft, it is minimum lot size for MPCs, not maximum density. It is a
okay,
difference.
but that's only for residential. We don't designate a minimum lot size for if I want to put a coffee shop in.
For commercial uses,
I
correct.
could have
Right.
a quarter acre lot to put my
Correct.
coffee shop on.
Right.
That's
Right.
what I
Correct.
wanted.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so, and
So
you
But
would,
10% isn't, my point was that 10% is not limiting it to,
All be in one place, or?
well, and or like, depending on the whole business size, you could have
Right.
a couple of, a coffee shop and an office or whatever.
Right.
But it's not just,
Depends on the size of
We're
the
not going to put a
development.
Starbucks on a 1 acre lot.
Right.
Have it kind of standing out there in the middle.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
That's, thank you.
So, and like I said, the percentage, we can discuss that. If arrive at the right number for what the percentage is.
Well, with respect to the number, I mean, this is a comprehensive plan, and it's giving guidance to developers who want to come in. And if it's off by a percentage either way, I mean, I think it's something that we would entertain. But I think 90 is going to be closer to what we want to end up at than 75 would be, right?
Yeah, I agree
So I'm
with
not
that.
going to split hairs over the number, I don't think. I think there's probably wiggle room with a thoughtfully designed
Yeah.
development.
And
you know?
hopefully any large commercial development will go to the 205 corridor or
Right.
one of those areas.
I-
And that's what
I
we're, I
agree
think,
with you.
trying to drive. Yeah.
That's logical.
Okay. Yep.
Okay.
All right, the next on number 7, page 44, this is a floodplain discussion, and you'll recall this actually came up last week during the public hearing. This is the add agricultural to anticipated land uses. So
Oh,
in the
okay.
floodplain, you can have
Ag stuff.
ag activity.
Sure.
Because you heard that expressed
Yeah.
last week by one of our
Yeah, good
citizens.
catch.
Clarifies it. Page 49. This.
I'm sorry, can we clarify where you'd like to add that?
In the bullets?
Under
Anticipated land uses.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah, just one bullet, agricultural. And then as we come on to
49. Vision.
49, so this was, the individual was pretty adamant about this. So in the discussion, and the logic was as you read through this, you're talking about roads here and the mix of roads we have. And his concern was on page 49, thoroughfare, and I got to vector you into the exact spot here.
It's that first.
It's in that first
in the first
paragraph,
sentence.
right? Regardless, it's the third sentence. Regardless of ownership/maintenance, he thought that parenthetical phrase actually could open the door to a debate about the city responsibility for private roads, based on the totality of the discussion. I read it multiple times, and I don't think it keeping that phrase in doesn't
Yeah, I don't think it-
add anything to the plan in my mind.
I don't think it hurts.
And if it removes any ambiguity, then it's useful in mind, as well. Okay, page 49.
Wait, back
I'm
up for a
sorry.
second. So, and maintenance of the city's roadway system, regardless of ownership maintenance, could you change it to say, and maintenance of the roadway systems in the city? Because city's roadway system makes it sound like they're the cities, which regardless of ownership maintenance took out. But once you take that out, it makes it sound like the city's roadway systems. And what we're talking about, the master thoroughfare plan, are the roadway systems in the city.
Right, city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So can you give me the phrasing on that?
So just say operation and maintenance of the roadway systems in the city
In the city.
It would also include the ETJ.
and ETJ.
Then, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we should say that, and of the roadway systems in the city and ETJ, and adjacent ETJ, well,
Thank you.
ETJ is by definition adjacent.
Perfect. Okay.
All right.
All right, page 49.
That was it? Oh, add bullet.
Sorry.
Oh, under the purposes, okay.
Purposes, and this is again to clarify ownership and responsibilities. The Thoroughfare Plan is designed to establish understanding of ownerships and responsibilities for upkeep and maintenance, of roads. And the thought process here is, and we have had cases where neighborhoods have come to council expressing concern over status of private roads.
Right.
So this just, again, helps reinforce that.
But the master plan doesn't designate which roads are private. Or the master thoroughfare plan doesn't designate which roads are private.
That's correct. It also doesn't specify county or TxDOT.
Right.
Yeah,
It didn't get to a CIP level of detail.
I'm not sure that doesn't confuse things.
Well, there is a action in here to have a working group committee that would bring together the HOAs to try to assist them in their road planning within
So
limits of the law. So
Should we put it in the actions and policies then?
again, I'm just carrying the mail here for
I
a
understand.
concern.
No, I understand the concern.
I'm just like where to put it.
This purpose says to establish understanding of ownership and responsibilities, and I don't feel like that's what the thoroughfare plan does.
But it certainly could be an action that we could take while we're evaluating the policy. But it doesn't really fall under general policies.
I'm not sure I'm completely following. I understand what you said.
Because your bullet says to
Thorough-
establish understanding
I
of
understand.
ownership and responsibilities. Where does the thoroughfare plan do that?
But I 100% agree we need an action to understand which are private, which are city, and which are county.
Okay.
I understand the reason you want to do it, and I don't disagree.
Yeah, I understand. I'm trying to, so I'm going to look to my consultant now. Thoroughfare Plan.
I'd like to make a recommendation, if you will entertain it, to add an action to incorporate ownership and maintenance of roadways within the city into the city's GIS system. So that way the working group can utilize that data, city can utilize it for the upcoming CIP.
And where would that go?
It would
add another
go
action
into
at
the
Page
the
55.
mobility and connectivity action.
So it's back in the,
Is it 54, 55? No?
I would choose
So the language
page
is okay.
54 under reduced commuter delay. If we needed to put it,
page 54?
yep,
Okay.
and just say incorporate ownership and maintenance of roadways within the city into the city's GIS system.
Yeah.
Okay.
That way you're building your database at the same time
Okay.
and
Yeah, that'd be hard.
Is that,
Yep.
I'm okay with
Okay.
that.
I think
Yeah,
that
me
I think
too.
that would do
so
it.
that's page 54?
54.
Okay. All right, and the last comment was page 53. And this is what we were just talking about. So we have several farm-to-market roads that are consistent within the city. After discussing this with the road consortium, right, that those farm-to-market roads really are going to be driven by TxDOT, not by, we'll provide an input, obviously, but it's TxDOT county. And so they all should be classified. The thought was they all should be classified the same way. Now, the way this memo is written is incorrect. It's not existing principal arterial roads. It should be read existing minor.
Minor. So they should be all yellow.
Yeah, they all should be yellow. Common color of yellow.
orange.
Orange,
Sorry.
yellow, orange, yeah.
And that would be a downgrade in
And that's a
intensity.
downgrade. So the way this is.
Well, 550 would be an upgrade.
No, 550 would actually be a downgrade because the red line here is a 6-lane.
It's
but
upgrade
the-
to what's on the ground,
the blue-
downgrade to what's in the plan.
Yeah, well, there's a blue part
There's
of
a blue
550
section of 550 as
over
well,
there
but
by-
it's,
Right.
by
but that's the
1139.
existing that would, I guess,
And that-
no longer be a farm to market if they built the extension, probably.
Well, that would be, we'd have to
They'd
have
probably
some
resort to-
arrangement, yeah.
Yeah, revert to a county road or something.
All right,
So,
so everybody knows what color things need to
Why?
Can we say the colors again? I'm kind of lost.
So they're saying to change them to yellow, but I thought if you looked at the county,
specifically this road, it will be here. So this color is correct for 1139. So here it would be fixed. And then that would be a yellow. Then 550.
Orange.
be orange.
but I thought, I mean, I don't disagree, and if this is what you agreed to with the consortium, Mark, I'm okay with it, but I thought there were plans, long-term plans for 550 and 548 to be 6-lane. They're on, I thought, the county's plan to be major arterials, so I don't
Lisa,
disagree if that's
do
what
you
you're
know
hearing,
if
but-
that's conflicts?
So,
550 long-term is on the county thoroughfare plan. Does it become a 6-lane or a 4-lane road?
Yeah, 550 and
well, and maybe they
548.
have, but I'm pretty sure it's a major arterial or a principal arterial. I mean, it probably depends on their definition.
Well, the definition, that's the definition in this plan is
Well, and that's where I'm.
6 versus 4.
Right. Well, and the principal arterial in this plan can be 6 or 4.
So
Okay.
If I'm reading
on
this-
page 52,
On page
you can see the blue table. The principal arterial can be 6-lane or 4-lane, and it's determined by the function of the roadway.
Right.
And if you anticipate it carrying, we call it regional traffic, but traffic from
Through
outside of
traffic.
McLendon-Chisholm.
So is this stuff that's highlighted?
I'm not a fan of 6-lane.
I don't want it to be
6
6 lanes,
lanes,
but
yeah.
I just feel like we're. And let me see if I
So-
can find the county.
Yeah,
map.
so, and remember, the county plan is out of date, and they're
So they're-
issuing a bond now.
Well, I know we've talked about it rolls up, so they'll
Yes.
take what we do
Right.
and go up. I don't have any issue with it. I mean, hell, I live off of 550. I prefer to stay 4 lanes too, but.
So the highlighted
I
stuff
just
is
am
going to
worried
go
that
to,
we're not-
though, right?
The highlighted items were changed on the map, and so we actually were just calling your attention to that's not proposed text in the document, so
Right.
that's what was changed in
Okay,
the draft.
that's what I thought.
Lisa's researching.
She's going to go look.
I'm
She's
gonna
got
see if I
that.
can pull it up,
specifics.
too. But you said you talked to the consortium about this.
I
and
talked to our
they-
consortium representative.
Was that John Polster?
No,
Okay.
that's
Okay.
our council member, one of our council members.
Oh, okay. Oh, I
And,
gotcha.
and Lisa.
Okay. I mean, and if they're changing the thoroughfare plan, then it may be a
Well,
better point.
and
as
I
to
don't,
what's
they
out there.
they don't have the details on the bond, or the details of the bond that they were going to push forward is only in development now.
One of the changes that you could consider is to delete the second row of the table and just say that principal arterials can only be a maximum of 4-lane divided. And then if it was minor arterial, that would potentially be less right-of-way requirement, and you could do undivided in addition to divided, depending on the context of what you were working with on your design. But you could just delete that entire second row if you wanted to make that change and prohibit the 6-lane.
I think I'd be more comfortable with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just
I mean, it's quite clear that we don't need 6-lane roads running on certain, it's the implication.
Yeah.
of a six- I
I
mean,
would recommend we keep the right-of-way designation though, so the principal 4-lane at that point. I would recommend you do 100 to 150.
100, 150,
Yeah, that way you could
So
get
move that
some,
to 100 to 150 and take out the second 6 lane, but then just make it 100 to 150 so that we can do the
yeah,
right
if
of
that's
way.
what you're,
Yeah.
but that way it would give extra design capacity for the roadway to put maybe a bike lane or side path or,
Golf cart path.
there you go.
So,
Just to give that more.
so you recommend taking in this chart, so the change is going to be on this chart, page 52. We're going to delete the principal arterial 6-lane divided. Just have the 4-lane divided. And then, so we could go back to the farm to market roads all consisting of
No map change.
the match, everything match. Okay? So that would go back to being this.
No map change, only a table change.
This is changed now.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, the county plan is a little misleading because like it shows State Highway 205 as the principal arterial through our town, so.
Yeah,
Which is going to be divided highway.
Yeah, I mean, so it's,
when we talked to TxDOT in the process, they had no plans to upgrade 550 or 548 anytime soon. But we did talk to them about the bend, on the proposed
550.
realignment, and they were willing to entertain that and were amenable to that. So we felt comfortable putting that on the plan.
no, I'm really confused because I thought TxDOT was working on plans for 550.
They could be working on
The only
plans,
thing
but
they
it's
worked
not
on
scheduled.
was the
Work
resurfacing.
is resurfacing
Resurfacing
and
No,
shoulders.
I know,
That
but I meet with TxDOT about once a week and I swear they told me they were doing a
And it
Can you-
might be,
schematic for 550.
Can you illuminate us anymore? Is it 4 or 6?
It's,
That's what you're looking
That's
at.
all right. I think we
It's
got it.
on the-
I think
on the
we've
existing-
We're good. We're
We've
good.
on the
landed
existing
somewhere.
county plan, they show it as 4 as well.
4 as well. Okay, so we're good.
And then-
4 lanes, but think we have the change. All right, so that's the comments I had.
And then I got some comments too.
Okay, let's go through yours since yours are written, and then I'll give Danielle and Robert, if you have anything further you want to bring
Did
up.
everyone
we
get
can-
these?
I have like 6 of them here, if somebody didn't get them. Okay.
Do you have?
Do you have a copy of her comments? I have some extras
Well,
if you'd like.
You emailed them, so.
Oh,
yeah, you have
So
those.
if you want something to mark them
So I'm
out,
like
yeah.
trying, because I was looking at the red line, so some of the page numbers are way different.
Okay.
So the first one, it was this page 60, we're talking about storm sewer. That was just more a comment, but we didn't know which ones have storm sewers and infrastructure. But I think it's been addressed that it's one of the things that there's an action to upgrade to determine what our sewer infrastructure and all that kind of stuff is. I was just saying, I know a couple of them that have them already. But at the bottom of that one, where it says, this sentence opening is weird, that's page 63, under the first bullet, where it says, Rockwall and Kaufman County, Rockwall County are key partnering. It's just a typo. Yeah, you got that one. And then the next part of that, page 64, is the next piece. If you flip that page, in the first bullet, capital improvement plan says many of the public REAM initiatives. Yes, I'm pretty sure that meant realm, so that's that one. And then the next box was about explanatory text on the master thoroughfare plan, which you've got already added. The water supply map you also already talked about. This other one, the CAD map, which I don't know what page it really is on, because like I said, I was looking at the draft. This is the map that the appraisal district did. Let's see if I can find what page it's on now here. It's on page 38. No, that's not 30, 34. So this one, because I was looking at my neighborhood and there's a couple of gray parcels, and I know why they're gray, because there's no, so the first thing I looked at was light gray means ETJ and dark gray means vacant. And so there's a bunch of light gray parcels that are within the city. So like, well, why are those light gray? And then I looked at one that's in my neighborhood and I realized it's probably an artifact that people have requested privacy from the appraisal district, because I know the lots in my neighborhood and who lives there and why they've requested privacy. And so by them being gray, it kind of highlights that they're not, so I would propose that the things that are showing up as light gray in existing neighborhoods, I guess with the exception of the winery, that long one, be just made to look like the other existing neighborhoods or parcels around it. So it's not highlighting for everybody places where CAD has had a request for privacy on their records.
If we did make that change, we would just need to note that it was no longer what CAD was reflecting, because we just pick a data source and symbolize it. So we would just need to add a note to like the bottom left that says some parcels have been edited, or something like that, because what's reflected is the actual appraisal district tax classifications, and the designations that they have on them. And so we just literally symbolize their data, since the city doesn't maintain an existing land use layer in GIS, which is normal.
So my question, so if I may, what's the purpose of showing the vacant lots?
It's what is designated by the appraisal
No,
district.
I understand that, but I mean, within the context of the plan, what value do we get by having the vacant lots?
It just typically means that it's not being classified as residential or commercial, so there could be a structure on the property that's not anything, or they haven't registered with the appraisal district, so it could be open for redevelopment potentially, could be vacant is what it typically means.
Yeah, so like the stuff in Vista Del Mar or whatever that place, Mira Vista, that's all residential, but they're just, people haven't built their houses on them yet.
Right. So they were vacant at the time the tax rolls were pulled. So you just, it's just typical symbology.
So if this map reflected single-family residential lots, regardless of the house is built or not, commercial, agricultural farmland, ETJ, I guess vacant commercial lots. I'm still just, I think I'm not, I had the same, I didn't have the same exact reason for, but I was confused by some of the vacant lot designations.
So we have an existing land use map. It's in the existing plan.
Mm-hmm.
This is just the existing land use by the Rockwall Central Appraisal District.
But your intent is just to show existing land use, right?
Right.
We are trying to show existing land use with the only data source that's available at this time.
Why couldn't we use the one we have in the existing plan?
We don't know where the
Outdated.
data came from.
And I'm not sure how it was created. Yeah, could have been done
No,
by
that's
Winchell.
fair. No, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
But to your point, like everything is yellow.
But when you start
In your
changing
neighborhood.
some,
Yeah.
you really,
I agree.
it's a,
It's
but,
a can of
from my
worms.
perspective, we used this as a planning tool for, hey, look at all this green. McLendon-Chisholm wants to stay rural, so it's meant to be illustrative and not meant to be utilized for any type of purpose other than illustrative of saying you're mostly agricultural and farmland. And there are some existing pockets of residential, very little commercial. And that's all it's meant to illustrate.
Yeah, well, that's why
yeah,
I think
could
you,
we-
by eliminating the vacant lot discussion out of the residential, single-family residential areas, you accomplish what you just discussed, right? Which is
But then
where
because
the
we'd be,
where the
But we'd be talking
residential
about-
is, where commercial is, and where's agriculture.
but the lots you're talking about are classified as not categorized.
They're basically they requested to have their information made private by the appraisal district. So when you look up their address, you can't even, you see the lot and it just is blank.
Yeah.
But I know there's houses there and I know who lives there. I know why they want
But
it
I
to
don't
be
think
private.
they're on here as vacant
They are.
lots.
They're on
not
as-
categorized. They're this.
Oh, that light, that white, not categorized. It looks like
Well, it looks like they're the ETJ color, but
they're,
they've got to be not categorized. I think is probably where they came from, because she's showing on the previous page that we had 44 not categorized lots.
well, and then if they're supposed to be not categorized, then they look gray. And I don't know if that's an artifact of them being so tiny.
We can verify the symbology.
There's probably a
And
gray
make
shape
sure that-
underneath the other shapes for the
Could be.
ETJ.
Yeah,
If I had to
could
guess.
be.
Yeah,
The shape file that we had may not have actually had a polygon on those parcels. So then the ETJ that we have behind the
showing
map
through.
might be showing through.
that actually
The
makes sense.
disclaimer says it may be different than what is currently on each property. It's for illustration purposes only.
Right, but I think the concern is there are people that purposefully want their lots.
I have no, I understand that. I have no problem with that. But again, the disclaimer pretty well says,
Well,
it's not, it doesn't necessarily represent what's on the property, and it's just for illustration purposes only.
I know, but for me, it highlights parcels in my neighborhood of people who have requested privacy, and so now we've highlighted all of those ones that look like their ETJ and I don't know, I know about the people in my neighborhood, I don't know about the people in the other neighborhoods, if they're law enforcement, or they have a restraining order, or there's something else. I don't want to highlight for anybody, here's all the properties in McLendon-Chisholm that
But
have-
well,
that don't show up on the CAD map. That's my concern.
Most
But,
of these,
and then I understand Abra's concern of, she wants this to be accurate, so if we say source Rockwall Central Appraisal District, actually it says appraisal district.
Oh, how about that?
Yeah.
No spell check and GIS. Sorry about
Right.
that.
I mean, this is their map. I mean, we would have to go to them to change their map. And
And
again, the disclaimer says, I don't have a
pulled
problem.
it.
I respect people's privacy, but
this is a copy off of the Central Appraisal District, or did you
They
create
pull
the
the
It is.
shape files, yeah.
You created shape files from
No,
what-
they just pull them from them and they can
Oh.
just drop them in their
gotcha.
GIS.
Okay.
And so they're using shape files straight from there.
We can,
I'm just trying to think of what we could, so those ones that are bleeding through that look like they're ETJ because there's nothing there, my proposal is to just make them like the surrounding neighborhoods so that they're not highlighted.
so like the vineyard property.
Like the vineyard property, we know what it is.
But if we start going parcel by parcel, we'll need to verify each one.
Well, I'm wondering if we could, and this would be work, but I'm wondering if you could, for example, your neighborhood of Austin Corners, that land use is all residential. We know it because it's an established neighborhood. Is there a way, but like the vineyard, I would probably leave because it's a standalone, it's not really, quote, in a neighborhood. But that would also get rid of the vacant, we could do that and get rid of the vacant lots too, which to me kind of jump off the page at you. But I mean, I don't have a whole lot of heartburn either way, but I would think that we could just,
We can
Pick and
manually
choose
change those
established
4
neighborhoods.
parcels.
yeah, I mean,
But we would just add a note that
you'd have to put a
couple-
disclaimer that it was
So you
from
could
the.
say single-family residential including vacant lots.
there you go. Yeah, just color it all yellow.
some vacant lots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, including some vacant lots.
Yeah, that's fine.
Because they would all be yellow,
Yeah.
essentially.
I mean, you'd essentially be taking all those established neighborhoods that are platted as neighborhoods and making them all yellow.
So we're proposing all the vacant lots in all the neighborhoods.
Well, it's the vacant lots and it's the non-categorized lots, because those are the ones I think that we're actually concerned about. Anybody can go see what lots are vacant, so I'm not as
Yeah.
worried about showing those. But if someone's trying to, because like you said, they're a police officer.
I mean, and
or
it may
a-
be a stretch, but I know, because I'm making a neighborhood directory, and people ask to be included, people ask not to be included. I'm putting them names on maps, and I'm like, well, I could put this name on there because that's public record, and I go to the CAD, and I'm like, oh, no, it's not public record.
You can't,
I
yeah.
can't do that, so I'm just wanting to be sensitive to that. And I don't know what the situation is in other neighborhoods.
I mean, I think it would look funny, but the other option would be to shut off all the roads and the property lines.
Well,
Then you
then
can
nobody
see-
can tell where they are.
They can't, no, then nobody can tell
I like
where they
the
are.
idea
I
of
mean, you can see
single-family
how much is
resident,
green and how
including
much is
vacant
yellow.
lots. I don't have a problem with that.
I mean, I think you could go either way. I think a lot of people would be like, where do I live? And they won't know, but it would at least, it would illustrate, I think, what your intent was, that so much of it is still green.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the intent of the map is not to identify parcel by parcel
Right.
activity. It's to show scale of categories.
Would that make you feel better? I mean, if you couldn't see the roads in your neighborhood, so people wouldn't know exactly where those homes were, would that solve your concern?
I mean, but you have the ability to make them all yellow, for example.
Yeah, just
right?
make them all yellow and include this, in that single-family residence, including vacant lots.
Yeah.
And that
Well,
kind of,
the, including vacant or
Or
unclassified.
Unclassified
I mean,
lots.
it makes the legend a little busy, but
Okay, so the ones that are currently labeled vacant lots, you don't want me to change.
I think she's more concerned about the,
yeah, the ones that are looking
Non-categorized.
like, the non,
Right.
yeah, the not
I'm just
categorized
saying,
ones. The
if
not
we
categorized
start-
ones in existing neighborhoods, I would like to make them look like existing neighborhoods.
Yes.
Um,
But
Yeah, I don't
like,
think the vacant lots are as important, but we all know the designated land use on the vacant lots in question. I think the ones that are within the yellow, we all know that that existing land use is residential. So,
Well, except for this
no,
big,
the one
where
at
the
City
city,
Hall.
the city
that's-
hall's on.
Yeah, that one you might leave vacant.
Yeah, but yeah, with the exception of city hall, everything that's showing as a vacant lot
Is in a neighborhood.
is in a neighborhood. And that's what it's going to be. So then if we did that, it would be existing neighborhoods, including vacant lots and I mean, are we sitting on a vacant lot here? Is that,
No, we're in
Yeah.
front of it. We're in the green.
oh, we're in the green?
there are some other ones on the map that,
Yeah.
Would
That
be
are
different.
odd, yeah.
uh-huh.
Yeah, there's a vacant lot at.
And this is public information too, so it's on the CAD viewer and all that good stuff. But I understand your concern about the attention.
And when I look on the CAD viewer, the lots there, just no names come up. It's just, I haven't seen it on the CAD viewer with
Different color.
different
designations.
colors, designations, or, so like you would have to click on every lot and see which ones you got no data for. I don't know.
If we're going to maybe start an existing land use layer for the city, maybe we can put that under the city's GIS contract, and you guys could have that moving forward to utilize. Because I imagine when we start changing some, we'll want to change more.
Yeah.
So it's a kind of just a little bit of a slippery slope when we start editing, and that's not a problem.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
But when it gets to city council, there will be a few more changes and whatnot. So just in terms of investment, it'd probably be a good
I'm
idea.
open.
You don't have
Just-
that many parcels, so.
No, yeah.
And that was pretty much it. The only other one was Lisa's name.
Which, yeah, she had up there.
I'm looking at it going, Paloma, isn't it Paloma?
Sorry, Lisa.
The spelling of my name was the first thing I checked.
Yeah.
So, okay. All right, Daniela, do you have any additional comments or questions on what we're?
just
Is
a
that-
question about the lot sizes. I know it says 1 acre. Would that be for any new?
That's in the master plan.
Which area are you referring to, like master plan community?
Yes, any new neighborhoods coming in.
So if they're in the master plan community areas, it would be minimum 1 acre, exclusive of floodplains and rights of way. So that would be any new land in those, new development. If something was already smaller than 1 acre, it could remain that way, but it couldn't get smaller than it is already. Does that help?
And the guy said I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
The guy who was at the meeting last week and said 1 dwelling unit. That could be an apartment building, but that's not the intent.
Well, no, one dwelling unit, you can only have one apartment.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, 1 dwelling unit, a dwelling unit it's a unit where people dwell. It's one unit, but it could have
There can be
multiple.
stuff on top. That's what
If you
were
had 10 acres,
Yeah,
you could have a maximum of 10 dwelling units.
Okay.
And the plan hasn't specified that it has to be single-family detached. You could have townhomes or whatever, but you're not going to get that many of them.
But
Right.
but to what you just said, because you're saying like an apartment building could be a dwelling unit, and I don't think that's true. You're saying.
Yes, it
Yeah.
could.
But no, but could it be, you
Well,
could only have
dwelling-
10 apartments on 10 acres.
Right.
right.
That's what
Yeah.
I wanted to
Gotcha.
make
So
sure.
it's going to be
we're
like a
on the same
mansion
page.
apartment,
Gotcha.
not a garden style.
Right,
3
so if you have
story
1 acre and you want to put an apartment above your
shop.
shop, it can only be 1 apartment.
That's right.
Right.
That,
Okay.
that was the way I was interpreting
Okay.
it. so.
No, I'm
I
just,
didn't want to be
I'm just
wrong
making
about that
sure.
either.
I'm just making sure.
Well, just a question, like, I know it's 1 acre. Is there a reason why it was changed to 1 acre? You may not know, then to 1.5? So I thought it used to be 1.5.
So it did used to be 1.5. The county updated its septic requirements and reduced them to 1 acre minimum, and that was part of the discussion. There was wide-ranging feedback on the lot sizes, so there was even feedback on lower than 1 acre. So some people wanted maximum density instead of minimum lot size, so the whole process was kind of a mediation between not only the feedback, but also, development. It is exclusive of floodplains and rights of way. So oftentimes, that's going to take out a lot of developable acreage as well. But it's what CPAC landed on.
Yeah, based on all the community input.
So if
It was
if I may-
hotly debated, believe me.
Right.
if I may, so 1.5 was designed around, the thought process behind it was to preserve more green space. This plan shifts preservation of green space from private to preservation of green space and floodplain, right? So we are actually increasing the potential for green space preservation.
Right, because that floodplain doesn't count as part of.
Exactly.
It doesn't count.
Now, in a development, so the potential for, say, 100 acres, and it has floodplain in it. What has been done in McLendon-Chisholm up to this point is areas that should be in common area within homeowners associations has been shoved into private,
Yep.
which has created problems in most of the homeowners associations for maintenance.
Right.
So this would be to write that and make it consistent within Texas, which is to have those kinds of floodplain would be in a common area associated within the homeowners association.
And not on people's
And not on
individual
private-
land.
Not on private property. So it was, and the 1 acre is, also has an economic development perspective to it, that it's something that is more market ready than 1.5 acres.
But the look of it, which is what I was concerned about, is that if you've got, a big chunk of land and this piece of it's got a creek going along the back and then there's a drainage thing in the front of it, when you set that house on there, it's an acre of developable land. So it's going to have to, instead of being this big, maybe it's this big because this part doesn't count. So you're still going to have the wide open space look because you're excluding roadways and
So it
Floodplains.
prevents houses from being built in those floodplains because they don't count within that 1 acre.
right.
Right.
It excludes private roadways as well?
Rights of way are excluded.
Okay, because I know my 2.5 acres includes our road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're,
So-
you're,
No, and I.
Yeah, so it-
But I'm
Both
just
different
saying that it would
It
be-
actually pushes it
it would
out.
be-
So like
yeah.
the same thing. So if your 2.5 acres includes the road in front of your street or the road in front of your street,
Half the road.
half the road, and it includes a bunch of trees along a creek. Now it would be, instead of your being this big, it would end up having to be this big so that you could get the same acre because this part's not going to count anymore. So it's still going to, even though it's a smaller size, it may have the effect of still spacing things out.
So if you want a visual,
Yeah.
is Brushy Creek
Yep.
would be a good visual.
Yeah,
That's
I knew
their
that
acre
was-
lots,
They are acre lots.
right? And lots of green space. So that's sort of the
look.
the look and feel. It's more about the look and feel than definitive
Size.
min,
Right.
yes, lot size itself.
I was just wondering. Thank you.
Yeah, no, it was,
No,
believe me,
it's
this,
it's a lot.
we
a lot
spent
of work.
hours talking about it, honestly, hours talking about it.
Okay. Any other questions on your?
I don't know.
Okay.
No.
Robert, anything on your?
Nothing else.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't have any questions, but I do want to take just a second and thank Mark for chairing the CPAC and Sherry for serving on it, and please take our thanks to your committee. Honestly, you made our job at planning and zoning a little bit easier, that we just had to look at the recommendations
Thank you.
and deal with that. But I know you guys put a lot of time
And
Job
and
job
effort
well
into
done.
it.
and
I really
the
appreciate
update process built in, right?
yes. Yes, I definitely, and Mark already thanked you, but I mean, that goes without saying. But I
Well
wanted to
done.
make sure
Well
we
done.
recognize
Thank
the
you.
work that you guys did as well. So,
I'll modify my
okay.
motion.
Okay.
So motion is for planning and zoning to endorse the plan to city council for adoption based on incorporation of the changes, the recommended changes we've made tonight that were compiled between Kimley Horn,
And you. Yeah.
Mark, Sherry, right? And I think there were some others in there too, but we'll make sure we
Someone
have.
has the definitive list of what those changes.
Well, we have them. I was
so.
working, I think we have them.
Yeah,
Between what's up on the screen, what's in the memo I wrote, and what's in Sherry's memo, or notes.
So,
That I second that motion to, whatever you said.
okay.
To present it to city council
To
for
recommend
adoption, to
approval.
recommend adoption, with-
Yeah.
subject to the changes we just discussed and that have been designated.
Okay. Any further discussion on the modified motion? Okay, if not, I will take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes. Do we have it's not on the agenda, but do we have a next meeting known? Do we know? So we'll leave it tentatively on the books for the third Thursday in October, right? Is it third Thursday?
And do you want us to come to city council on, if we can? Next, is it next, when is it?
Tuesday?
Tuesday,
Tuesday.
Tuesday's the public
public
hearing.
hearing.
Come.
Yeah, 29th is the city council.
So the 21st so that's
Well,
like,
21st is the public hearing.
you got time. You
Yeah.
can still make it.
I
Yeah.
got 2 days. I
Yeah.
got 2 days.
Yeah.
I could.
Uh,
I would like to make it. I need to write
Okay.
the dates down.
And then I show our next regularly scheduled, if we need it, as being on Thursday, the 21st of October.
Right.
I'm sorry, I'm talking about our next
Yeah.
meeting, yeah. Okay, so if anything comes up, you'll let us know and we'll hold that date. Okay. With that, then I will, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I may be out of town on that date in
It's not
October.
allowed. You need to change your plans. Okay. Can I get a motion for adjournment?
I so move.
Second?
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we are adjourned at 8:18.
That's a great.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was wondering. Someone else did today, and I missed a lot of it. And I didn't.
I think those were Obras, so I think we're good. No, I think they're Obras, so I think we can keep them. So I'm glad you asked it, because
It was
Yeah.
so
I had
good.
wondered.
So we didn't take a lot of votes in the CPAC that we voted on that.
Yeah.